Hey guys, it's Will from Tested. I am here in Seattle at Scott Heimendinger's kitchen again. We've been here before. He's the Seattle food geek. And we want to talk about the Sansaire with him and Widad, who's one of the co-founders of Sansaire. You guys have built a sous vide machine that's a little bit unlike anything we've seen before. So I mean, let's just run through what sous vide is, I guess, to start.
Absolutely. So to start with sous vide, the concept for people who aren't familiar, it's a different way of cooking. So rather than cooking your food on a stovetop or an oven or grill, where you've got a really hot environment and your job is to be human thermostat / timer and remove the food at exactly the right moment when it's reached exactly the right temperature, sous vide works on a different principle. We heat a bath of water to the exact temperature you want the food to reach, and then you wait for the food to reach that temperature. It can't overcook, it's totally foolproof, and it takes you out of the role of human thermostat.
So you're using thermodynamics as your friend when you're cooking the food.
Yeah. So the machine will just maintain all of the water, the temperature across the water, and it'll just do all of it for you. You just have to set the temperature.
So can you overcook the food when you put it in the sous vide machine?
No. In fact, it's very hard to overcook something. The only way to overcook, for example, these chicken breasts, is if I left it in for like 2 days and they turned to mush. But they would still never get hotter than they're supposed to. The proteins would just denature over time. But for some foods, it's actually what you're looking for. So short ribs, for example, you want short ribs to fall apart and become fork tender. Well, that happens when the collagen melts into gelatin. Most short ribs are cooked at a very high temperature just below boiling, and so that collagen melt happens in a couple hours. But at a lower temperature in the sous vide bath, that'll happen in like 72 hours. Wow. So you have these fork tender fall apart short ribs, but they're still bright pink, medium rare.
That's amazing. So then what if you put something like a pot roast in, something that has a whole lot of connective tissue? Does it same thing happen?
Yeah. Totally same thing. That collagen melt is a function of time and temperature. And so you end up with these fork tender results. But because you haven't heated it to the higher temperature normally associated with braising, that high temperature constricts the proteins and it mechanically wrings water out of the meat.
So that's why you have dry, gnarly ribs.
Even when they're in a braising liquid, they're still dry. With sous vide, that lower temperature, you don't get that.
So then you can also do things like, I've had sous vide scrambled eggs before that were unbelievable, just runny and moist and didn't require any kind of, you can do that obviously with this machine.
Yeah, just set the temperature that you want at whatever consistency your egg you want in, and just leave it there, and it'll be cooked to the exact same runniness that you would want your egg at.
Actually, we got a couple eggs here that I cooked this morning for you. I cooked them at 65 degrees Celsius, which is how I prefer my eggs, for 45 minutes. And then I've been holding them in a bath just to keep them warm at lower temperature. You want to take a look?
Absolutely. I'm always a sunny side up guy, but 65 degrees Celsius sounds great.
Okay, so take a look at this.
So this is just a normal chicken egg.
Normal chicken egg. Nothing special at all about the egg itself.
Oh, it's like it's soft boiled inside.
Yes, exactly. And you notice that we haven't been like finicky about watching the clock or like stirring the thing. Check this out. Look at that.
Perfect yolk.
The other thing that's super cool is it took this long to make one egg, but it would take exactly the same amount of time to make 2 dozen, right? So if you've got your whole family coming over for breakfast or brunch or whatever, zero stress.
Yeah.
And if you want to finish them a little more and have them a little more solid, you can just chuck them in boiling water for a second or two when they're done?
Actually, you just dial up the temperature.
Yeah, just if you like like I do, your eggs a bit more firm, just dial up the temperature and you get the consistency that you want.
Fantastic. So let's talk about the Sansaire a little bit, because you guys are in the middle of a Kickstarter. Hopefully we'll have this up, I think, in the last couple of days of your run. So all this is a heater and I say all, but it's a heater and a circulator, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is, exactly. It's just, there's like heater coils that just heat the water to the temperature that you want. And there's a pump, an impeller pump that just keeps taking in water and pulling it out, and just so that you have the same temperature uniform across all of the water.
In the whole bath, and for over a long period of time.
Yes.
How do you control the water temperature? Because you're within, what, 1/10 of a degree precision?
Yeah. So we're actually using we're using fuzzy logic to do our temperature control. So this is kind of more of a how the human would do it. Kind of take that human thinking and kind of encode it into how to control your water, and we're able to get very good accuracy and precision with it. So at this point, we're I think accuracy is plus or minus 0.1, and that it's actually has a very good stability also within that range.
So then when you put something cold in, the water temperature is obviously going to drop?
Yeah, but it recovers pretty fast. So we actually showed a graph on Kickstarter where the recovery is like within a few minutes from where you drop. From when your temperature is stable across the water, you drop the cold food, and then there's like a pretty good recovery to the temperature that you've set.
So how big a bath can you heat with the Sansaire?
So we recommend baths up to about 6 gallons. And the reason for that is that the heater in the Sansaire is 1,000 watts. We can't go more than 1,000 watts because then we'd trip the circuit in your kitchen. That's the max. And 6 gallons coincides with about the maximum bath size where you're losing 1,000 watts of energy from evaporation or whatever out the bath. But if you're using like an insulated cooler or something like that, there are ways to kind of hack around to get an even bigger bath. The truth is 6 gallons is enormous, particularly for a home environment, but even in a restaurant, just get a second one.
What can you do with 6 gallons? Well, how much stuff can you put in 6 gallons?
Oh, you can put in tens of pounds of meat for 6, racks and racks of ribs or whole shoulders, things like that. That's a lot of capacity.
A quarter of a pig?
Yeah, pretty
You
much.
can cook your turkey probably in,
definitely.
in 6 gallons of water.
Okay.
So.
Shall I walk you through?
Yeah, let's see the whole thing.
Great. So the first thing is that we've designed the Sansaire so that it could attach to any container that you already own. Now, I like using these big Cambros and whatever because you can see what's going on.
You get these at like Kitchen Supply or something like that?
Exactly. But it'll work in just a regular, stock pot that you've already got in your kitchen. The nice thing is if you're doing a small quantity of food, you only have to heat a small quantity of water. So it's as easy as this. Clip it to the side of the basin.
Okay. And it just rests on the bottom?
It rests on the bottom. If you've got a super tall container, it'll hang.
Okay.
But you're good to go. And it works in as little as a couple inches of water, which is really nice. Then turn it on. Big power button right there on the top. And you can see it's circulating the water. We've got the super powerful motor in there, but it's also really quiet.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, you can put that mic right up next to it.
It's a gentle hum.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason that was important for us is when you're doing long cooking times, these machines are running like overnight in your house. And if you're in a studio apartment, you don't want to listen to...
Yeah, that's what happened with me. I live in a very small apartment, and if you just have like other sous vide machines running, you'll actually hear it running, and it's not very pleasant.
Well, it's for home use.
Okay, so it's running. We've got the pump circulating. The next thing we want to do is set temperature. Okay. And you do that just by twisting this ring here.
So this gray ring is kind of it just moves.
Yeah, it moves. It's like a pepper grinder was sort of the inspiration behind this. And as you see, you can set temperature with a precision of 0.1 Celsius, or if you're a Fahrenheit guy or gal, you can hit this button here and switch everything over to Fahrenheit and set with the very same precision. Now, once you've set your temperature, so let's go to 140.0 here, the display will flash at you, letting you know that it's registered that. And now it'll go back to showing you the actual temperature of the water, and you can watch that climb on up as it's reaching its target temperature, and then it'll stabilize out.
But and then if you want to see what the target temperature is again, you have a button for that too.
There's a button for that. You can either nudge the ring or push this target-looking button right on the top, and it'll flash you the target temperature in case you've forgotten.
So it seems like, sous vide, there's not a whole lot to it if you have the machine, right?
Yes. It's a simple thing. It's keeping water at the same precise temperature. We thought that the controls should reflect that simplicity.
Well, and you guys taught us how to do cooler sous vide last year or the year before, I guess now, which is easy to do. This just makes it a step of years. What else do you need to do this at home?
So a lot of people ask about how to pack foods for sous vide. And the restaurant style approach is to use a chamber vacuum sealer like the one I've got.
This one right here?
Down there, which is my circa 1986 Vac Master that I got off of Craigslist.
It looks like serious scientific equipment.
It does. And it does a really wonderful job, and I love it. But it's not necessary. Most foods, you can just use a Ziploc bag. A Ziploc bag is great for most sous vide cooking applications. Whether you're going to cook something for like 4 days, you may want to suck a little more air out.
Or at 185 degrees, the closer you get to boiling, you want to be a little more careful with the plastic, or does it matter?
Actually, the plastic doesn't matter. All of the plastics that you use for sous vide cooking are BPA free and food safe. What you want to avoid are the cheap off-brand cling films that might contain PVC or BPAs. But Ziploc bags, your golden food saver bags, you're good to go. Okay. So water displacement is as simple as this. You got your food in the bag. I added a little bit of olive oil here. Mm-hmm. One, because it helps fill in air gaps, but two, because it imparts a little flavor, which is always nice. I'm gonna drop the food in, and you see that the pressure of the water forces the air out.
Wow.
And then with the air out, I just zip across the top, and that's it.
So there's a little tiny bit of air in there, but not very much, and the olive oil pushed most of the air up above the food.
Exactly. The only reason to worry about air is if it makes your food float in the bath. For something like chicken breasts or fish or even most steaks where you've got a really short cooking time, you're not going to get oxidized flavors. You're not going to have a bacterial growth issue with that amount of air.
So that's the Sansaire. It looks fantastic. I can't wait to get mine at home. What's next after the Sansaire for you guys?
Well, now is the actual hard work. The Kickstarter has been really successful. We're thrilled with all the support. Our focus right now is on producing these units and getting them shipped to our backers as quickly and as with high quality as possible.
If the Kickstarter is done, will there be a place that people can do pre-orders and stuff like that?
Absolutely. Sansaire.com. Probably right here.
Yeah, we'll put it somewhere in the bottom. Yeah, exactly.
We'll have all the info. You'll be able to pre-order. You'll be able to order directly there and find out everything else you need to know about the machine.
Great. Thank you guys so much. I can't wait to get mine at home. We'll see you guys later on Tested. I'm Will. Bye.